hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, a physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 28th to March the 1st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking to Betty, and she got out of this marriage after a long time and just gave him everything. Now she's still on the loan, but he's got the house. Alice, you want to get us started here? What do you think when you hear things like Betty's story?
Betty, as we were talking during the break, we're all a little bit upset for you and about the situation. Because I wonder if you tend to find reasons why not to fight for yourself and why not to invest in yourself. And there's always reasons to justify just walking away or not fighting or not standing up. And I know you're considering it, but I think there'll always be things about your husband's situation that may hold you back from fighting for yourself and taking good care of yourself. Do you think that is a tendency for you?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because for 27 years I didn't do that. I didn't know how. And you know, I'm walking with the Lord now, and I've become so much stronger and braver. But I keep saying, well, I don't have the money for a lawyer to fight this, you know. But is that really the reason?
I love that you're asking that question, because I agree with you that there are other reasons you think you are perhaps not worth it, or that he has legitimate reasons for you not to push against him when it would be justified for you to do so. So we hear the growing strength in you, and I think that's why you're even calling to ask that question. But I'd really like you to evaluate where your money is going, and if there could be a plan to start setting aside money to be able to get a good lawyer for this, because you are worth it, even if it takes some sacrifice in the meantime. But I think you need this investment in yourself, and I think your ex-husband also needs to see you standing up and demanding what is justly yours and what's for your protection overall.
Yes.
So, and I'm kind of along with what Alice said. And you know how many of us, and I say us, because I did exactly what you did, girl. I walked, and I left my house. I didn't fight, because I think I was so deflated, so hurt, my core, I felt so worthless, such a throwaway. That I didn't. And I think there's a lot of us out there, and then we wake up, right? We wake up a few years later and realize, oh my goodness, I need money to live. So I really hope that there's a lot of people listening to our conversation right now, and they're going to learn the lesson through you and me to not do that. And often when I talk to women who are in your situation, I tell them my story, but then you know what I do now? I give them resources. One of the resources I give them is called Second Saturday. And Second Saturday is all over the United States. It's a group of attorneys that give their time to people like you and me. And there's also an organization called WIFE, and WIFE stands for Women's Institute for Financial Education. It's an online wife.org. So you have got to meet with an attorney somehow, because I think he's going to hold you hostage. He wants his house. He can be on disability for the next 20 years. So you're going to have to figure out a way to legally get your name off that loan. And there's got to be a way, but you won't know until you get counsel. And so do it, girl, for you. Don't stay hostage to being drugged through the next 10 years with your name on this house. You know why? Because it's like a sexually transmitted disease. If he ends up getting in financial harm, your name is attached to it. I've worked with people, good New Life listeners, who have stayed on a house and there's debt that gets attached to them years down the road. So get out no matter what you need to do.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to every person who feels like they're in a helpless legal situation. So what do? Well, if you're not involved in a church, you need to be involved in a church. And when you're involved in a church, you can ask the pastor or the pastor's assistant, who do you know in the church that might be willing to give me an hour of their time, that's an attorney, that might give me some advice? That's one way to find legal help rather than to say, I can't afford legal help, and then you close the door on everything. Here's what I would like to replace the phrase, I can't afford legal help with. I'd like you to replace that phrase with, I need to find somebody who will give me legal advice and maybe even file something and help me, even though I don't have the financial resources. And you know what? When you say to somebody, I don't have the resources to pay you, but if you'll help me, I will pay you $10 a month for the rest of my life till I pay you back. That says I'm responsible, I'm not helpless, I need help, and there are people that'll do it. And then if that doesn't work, there are legal aid organizations, and especially for women in your situation. So I want to encourage anybody thinking, I can't afford legal help, there's a way. Just like when somebody says, I can't afford to get any kind of counseling. Yes, you can. It's available. You have to look for it, and you have to ask for it.
Steve, you get us thinking on here, because I'm sitting here going, you know what? She could find an attorney that would be willing to do pro bono until she refis that house, gets the cash out, and then pays him. So there's creative ways if you just think about it.
And look, this man divorced her, and I don't want to be cruel to him, but if he can't get the job done that he said, then she needs to be part owner in that house. It's just fair. Give me the house, I'll take you off the loan. Don't take her off the loan. She needs to be the one that benefits when that house is sold, and the equity is, you get the benefit of the equity there. Let's go to Elizabeth, New York City, New York, listening on Sirius XM, 1 p.m. That's Eastern Time, channel 131. Elizabeth, how are you? How can we help you today?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My question is about a dating relationship.
Okay.
And I ended it several months ago after dating for about 4 years. And the reason
4 years. Wow. And why was it, what?
Yeah.
How old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm 55.
Okay. All right. So 4 years. Why did you end it after 4 years?
That's the reason I'm calling, because
there was anger directed at me. I'm not sure if it was really truly at me or it was because the person I was dating was dealing with and grieving a mother dying.
Okay.
And because of my childhood issues with a father who was a rager, having anger directed at me is just something I've decided I just can't be around. So when I ended it, it was clear. I made it very clear that because of the anger directed at me, that ended it. I made that very clear that was the reason.
Yeah.
So he's reached out to me a couple of times in letters, very calm. I've gotten help letters. In my heart, I've been trying to just be done with this. And the fact is, that's really hard. I'm not sure I was done with it. And I'm not sure that was as much of a deal breaker as I thought. So my question is, how would I know if
How would I know when to open the door back in terms of my responding or my initiating communication? If
Great.
I know that
Elizabeth?
he would want that,
Yeah. Well, he's asked you to consider getting together again, right?
Not in so many words, but it's clear that he's reaching out to me.
Okay, so he's just saying, hey,
very-
I'm just saying hi, and then he's informing you that he's gotten help, but he's not saying let's get together. He's just telling you he's
Right.
gotten help?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to start with Alice, and so Alice, she's single. She hasn't responded, wants to. He's saying I'm better. What should she do? Or what could she do?
Elizabeth, I'm very proud of you that you made the tough decision to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to know I'm feeling pretty protective of you, even still. Because I'd imagine that you had to develop a pretty high tolerance for anger, having to live with your dad's rage. So when you said this boyfriend directed his anger towards me, I thought that was a fairly cautious way of putting it. And I imagined perhaps he yelled at you or cursed at you, or maybe was possibly violent around you, or aggressive with physical objects around you, slamming the door, that kind of a thing. I could be right or wrong, but I'm cautious because of all these things and the length of dating, 4 years, of why it perhaps didn't move into an engagement or marriage. And it sounds like it's very good that it didn't, but why would he be willing to date you for those 4 years? For us, that seems like a long amount of time. So given all that, you can always check back to find out, well, what does the help mean that he got? That could be fantastic. Perhaps he's completely turning things around by participating in a really structured program. So it could be worthwhile to find out more of what that means. But I would ask you to be so slow in deciding to reopen your heart to a romantic relationship. And you'll probably need to, if you decide to restart anything with him, to really see his behavior over a long period of time and to know whether or not he continues in this structured help and if it's focused directly on his anger and how he treats you.
Yeah. Sheri, what are you thinking?
Yeah, even opening the door back to even communication is scary, because that means I'm willing to wait and see if if the behavior is still there. Because if the behavior is still there, I've just set myself up to get it again.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Sheri's thinking about this, and then I've got a couple of thoughts.
So I hear a lot of fear, Elizabeth, and I not only hear fear, but I started back again dating when I was around your age, and I had gotten stuck in patterns of dating guys for long periods of time. In fact, I had 3 gentlemen that I dated for 4 years. 4 years. Until I came in the studio one day and Henry Cloud and Steve Arterburn challenged me, and I wasn't happy about it, but I am. But they challenged me to read their books, Finding a Date Worth Keeping and Is This the One, and really start to address some of my fears and issues around my own stuckness. I feel like you're holding on to him because you don't believe there's somebody else out there that's going to treat you better. And I was terrified. And I kept getting stuck into relationships. And I say kept getting stuck. Listen to me, I sound like a little whiny victim. But I was in this place that I wasn't taking ownership of my own path. And I wasn't out there getting to know different gentlemen. I was kind of settling for the guy that, was with me, even though he wasn't a good fit. And so I want to get you out of that stuck box. I want to encourage you to move forward from him. Quit looking back you're going to become a pillar of salt like I was. I just look back at Egypt and the leaks that were there. And I kept becoming a pillar of salt instead of finding a man who could care for my heart and love my heart and nourish my heart, and a man who chose me. I want someone to choose you. And you can't find that as long as you're looking back at a guy who's got some anger issues.
What do you think about that? What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like it diminishes my hope a little bit, because I it's just so hard to meet people, and I actually went on a blind date a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so I put myself out there, and I guess I've got to throw in the factor that he was caring for his demented elderly mother, and I
think you're Elizabeth. I think you're excusing him for mistreating you.
And you're excusing him for the fact that you guys were together 4 years. You're minimizing that, dear one. You really are.
Mother or no mother, not a good thing. And
it doesn't feel good. You know, there's something called defensive hope, and maybe we can just touch on it when we come back.
We'll take a break. Come right back.
Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're going to send Elizabeth, Is This the One? I think it's going to help her a lot. You could order it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Sheri mentioned defensive hope. What is that, Sheri?
Well, it's a term that our very own authors, Dr. Cloud and Townsend, published in one of their books, Safe People. But it says this: defensive hope is hope that we think protects us from grief and sadness. They're saying defensive hope is something we hold on to because we don't want to grieve. We don't want to let go. We don't want to be sad. And so it's hoping that a person will change. And in doing that, it keeps us from the pain we have to face when we let them go. So we become incredible optimists. We restory our story. We go back and think, maybe I made a mistake, and we forget about that. It's been 4 years and I don't have a ring. And there's other issues that are going on. But, we just think if we just love them correctly or go back and say, I'm sorry, or that everything's going to change, but then it just stays the same.
Yeah. And here's the big question. Is it hope or is it wishing?
Yeah.
Defensive hope is kind of another form of just wishing. And hope has substance to it. There's reason for hope. And it's not just blind faith or wishing. Thanks for that word, Sheri. Okay, I'll send you Is This the One? And Take Your Life Back. I hope that's going to be helpful to you. Anybody else? 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Before we go to the next caller, I want to tell you that the reason we do this is life transformation. And I want you to be praying about the person that you're struggling with. I want you to be getting help for yourself. I want you to believe that it can be different. And I want you to call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and say to one of those great people on the phone, what in the world should I do? And it might be you tell the person to go to Every Man's Battle on January the 10th. It might be we need to go to the marriage weekend, February 14th. It could be you need to get a counselor, whatever. But when people call us, things start to happen and they change. Either you change or then the other person starts to change because you're different and you're responding in a different way, or you have a resource that is going to help them. So call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and if you can help us to continue to do what we do, it's the same number, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's talk to Meg from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. She listens on the New Life app, and it's easy to get at the App Store. Hi, Meg. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'll just get to my question really fast because I really want to know what you guys think.
Okay.
My husband had a porn problem for 16 years, and I found out a year and a half ago, and the first counselor told us, she was like, no, we had both good pasts. We don't have trauma. We don't suffer from any mental illness. And so, his parents were very affirming and very overconfidence building, and she's like, it's basically because he did it because he told himself it's not that big of a deal, and I'm okay, it's not that big of a deal. I never actually went to a person. Is it possible there's no deeper reason other than that? Because I still want to know if there is, because Jason did a video of the cycle of addiction. Whenever you have this thing that triggers of like a negative belief or something, you know what I'm talking about? So could it be as simple as that, or is there something deeper that we still haven't gotten to?
Okay. I'm gonna jump out here because I want to set the pace here, and both Sheri and Alice might disagree. I have a really wonderful friend who is a quadriplegic, one of the most amazing Christian female leaders ever, who got addicted to fentanyl. Okay, so I would say that comes under the classification of an innocent addiction. She didn't go to somebody and say, hey, I'd like some drugs that will addict me. Okay? So I think that there are some men, they're not warned about pornography, and they stumble onto it, and they hide it, and they don't get help. And then when they discover that there's hope and they get free, you will know the answer as to whether or not there are deeper issues. Because they won't be relapsing, and you'll see a development in their character, and they're not going to be saying, I don't think I need to go to that group anymore because, I'm over it. They'll be wanting to grow. They'll be wanting to help other men. You'll see things. So he will help you answer this question.
Yeah, he wanted to call. He's not here, and I was like, well, I'll call.
But I'm just saying, he will help you answer by his response daily, and it isn't the kind of response where, since I don't have deeper things, I don't need to be in a recovery program like the other guys do. That is not true, because no matter how it started, like I say, it could be innocently, you've got to have a recovery program. And then the other thing is, if it goes on for too long, it doesn't matter how or why it started. The addiction starts to do the damage to the person. So maybe there weren't other issues in the beginning, but if it goes on too long, other issues will have developed. So we'll talk a little bit. We'll hear from Sheri and Alice after we take this break. You're listening to New Life Live, and we're really glad that you are. Now, if you need help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And just maybe you've discovered you need some additional work. Counselor could help. Healing is a Choice is such a great book. Take your life back. You go from reacting maybe like you did on Christmas to responding. It's a great book to help you kind of recalibrate the response. We'll take a break and be back.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change, and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, so I've made a case that you could kind of get into this without deeper issues. Deeper issues may develop if you stay in it too long. Alice, what are you thinking when you hear Meg ask that question?
Well, I want to add to what you said, Steve, because I think about how culturally acceptable pornography is, and that so many men would even say, well, it's normal. So how it's so abnormal for any man to avoid pornography. Something's almost wrong with those men in this society. I think that's how they're seen. So if you grow up in that environment, and just the fact that all men are particularly vulnerable to this temptation, I think those two things could be the answer to it. But we are curious, Meg, why you're asking this question, and we're hoping and wondering if your husband is pursuing sobriety from pornography.
Yes, he's. I didn't find out until the very end, and ever since then, and I'm not kidding, he read Every Man's Battle on the couch, and that was the first time he was like, I can't even read this, because he was speechless. He's like, I never thought of this as being a form of adultery until I read this book, and so he couldn't even speak, and so he's, ever since then, he's like, I feel like my eyes have been opened. And I'm the one that's wanting to keep digging. I'm like, I'm just so terrified it'll come back. I want to make sure we've crossed every, X, T, Y, and everything.
Well,
I'm just trying to make sure.
If you keep doing that, if you keep doing that has a greater chance of it coming back than if you support him in what he's doing.
Well, and I would probably, I want to go somewhere else right now. Because you know what, I get this, Meg, and this is the deal. There's like these questions behind the question, and I think what you're dealing with is the impact of some trauma-induced shame beliefs that's gotten stuck on you like Velcro. And this is what they sound like. They sound like this: I can't trust my judgment. Because you didn't see it. You lived with him for how many years? How many years was he?
7, yeah.
Okay. You lived with him for 7 years and never saw any evidence that he was using it. So when you
17,
17. It's almost 2 decades. How could I not see that for 2 decades, that he was regularly looking at porn? So the shame belief, I can't trust my judgment, gets wired in on our heart.
Right.
The other one is I can't trust anyone. And so you're like trying to go to some expert to see if there's some dark, huge reason in his past, because if you can somehow figure that out, then you can guarantee your safety. But it's like we're chasing the wrong target. What I would want you to do is I want him definitely to stay in his recovery and do all the things that, Steve and Alice were encouraging, because that gives you some level of security. But I want you to do your deeper trauma work so that you don't heal broken. Because when we've got these shame beliefs stuck to us, we stay in hypervigilance. So how I work in my own work, I did some EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I did that around these wounds. And until we do that, we don't heal well. So that I talk about this in my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, because I want you to heal well.
All right. Now, I gotta say this for the sake of everybody in the entire world, all right? Your husband did a really honorable thing. Mm-hmm. He read the book, and he says to you, this is me, right?
Right.
So what you want to do is honor that and not make him pay a price for telling you about it. While you didn't catch him or anything. He just said, this is me.
He was caught.
Okay, he was caught.
Oh, yeah, he was caught first. Yeah.
Okay, so let's build on him saying, I never thought it was adultery. Now that he knows, what is he going to do to protect himself and you from future adultery? Has he told you what he's doing? Do you know what he's doing to protect himself and you?
He's doing everything I'm asking, yes.
Great.
Everything.
Great.
I mean, there's,
So this is really about your fear and your trauma.
Yeah.
It is me. I definitely agree.
So I would say to him, I just got to say something. I'm so thrilled, and I really haven't expressed it, that you saw this as adultery. You just said it out loud. And I think I might have been a little vigilant on finding some deeper cause, so I was so afraid. Well, you're doing all the things I've asked. Now I'm going to go do something, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to take care of this trauma thing because I want to support you in what you're doing. Restore Workshop is a place that we can help you with that. But also just to get a therapist that specializes in treating trauma. Now you're supporting him. And look, it's really great when people get into recovery, into sexual integrity, where they write down, like when I made a change, I said to all the people around me, if you see this, I am relapsing. If you hear me talking about these things, I am relapsing. If you see this, and so that's what you want, is this openness where there's easy intervention if something is going awry. And so you want him to tell you, here's what I'll be doing if I'm back into it. Here's what you'll see. But here's what you'll see when my recovery is secure. I'm going to send you Worthy of Her Trust, and I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back, 2 great books that are going to help you. Really, really glad that you called.
Steve, would you mind if we sent her my book since I chatted with her about it?
Absolutely.
Okay, Intimate Deception.
I must have had brain cloud there. Intimate Deception.
Healing
coming your way.
And I think this is a great reminder and a call up to all the men that truly think they're protecting their marriages by only using pornography. I've heard many men say that, and they came to the point where they really believed that was a protection for the marriage. But Jesus calls you up so much higher to even protect your eyes, because lusting after a woman with your eyes crosses that line. So please, men, hear this call and call us to get the help to stop the pornography use.
Yep. And here's another phrase you might need to think about. Inappropriate images. You might think, oh, this isn't pornography, this is something else. Is it inappropriate to be looking at? If it is, time to get your act together. All right, let's go to Joe, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WFIL. Hi, Joe, how are you?
Hello. Thank you so much.
Hello. Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, so I have a friend who got saved, became, personal relationship with Jesus about a year ago. She had been dating someone, actually engaged for 6 years, and she now is living for the Lord, on fire, and she is not sure what to do because her fiance says he's a believer. She's not convinced, doesn't see the fruit, and she's been kind of holding off for a year to make any changes in her life. They live together, they have a home together, and she's now wanting to make a move and do what God wants her to do. She feels God wants her to do. So her questions are two. The first one is, how does she talk to him about this? Because it can seem judgmental, and she's not 100% sure that he doesn't have a relationship, but she doesn't think he does, and she doesn't know how to address that without seeming judgmental, and how to kind of answer his. She believes he'll say, well, you don't know what's in my heart, and obviously she doesn't, and maybe he does have a relationship with Jesus, so all right. But she doesn't. She feels like their decisions aren't on the same line right now, and she wants to follow God. So that's the first question. Yeah.
What's the second question?
Okay, so the second question is, because they have purchased a home together and other assets, in her situation right now, she's wondering if it is okay, or to get advice from you about staying in the home, kind of separately until they get the financial things worked out with everything, because she's kind of in a situation with work that it's close to work, etc. Yeah.
All right, Sheri, I have yes, it does, and I've got some deep thoughts on this. But Sheri, you want to start us off here?
Good.
What do you think? How to tell him, and is it okay to stay? Oh, there's the break.
Well,
we'll just get started after this. Okay?
All right.
But I'm telling you something. We've got the right answers for your friend,
That's great.
Joe. And now, why isn't she calling us?
Great. She works full time, and
works full time?
I'm the only person that she's talked to that knows Jesus. So I wanted to get other advice for her.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm really glad you called. We'll give you some help after this. You're listening to New Life Live. If you need a resource, counselor, a book, video, and when you join Club New Life, you get all these videos that are so life-changing. But it's year-end. Have you thought about New Life? We take what you give and we invest it in a person's life. That's what we do here. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She said, we need to talk. She asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. They'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. It's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of the problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800. New Life.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
You are listening to New Life Live. Just want to mention, you could still get a copy of Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles. It's God's Truth for 8 to 12-year-olds, and a $20 donation. I'll send it right to that person, a late Christmas present. I'll autograph it personally to them. Done quite a few of those from you that have called. Still willing to do that. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. It's also the place to call to say, what do you have for me in 2020 that could change my life? We're talking to Jo, and she's got a friend, became a Christian. They're living together. She's on the house. How does she tell him? And is it okay to stay until the finances are worked out? Sheri, you were going to get us started here.
Yeah. So, hey, Jo, I just want to have a lot of compassion on your friend right now because I, love that she's waking up to reality and to her heart and to what is going to be needed to follow Jesus. And, following Jesus is not easy. And you think what Jesus said, you've follow me. And the rich young ruler, right, said, wanted to handle his money. And Jesus says, no, you need to follow me. And so I'm going to come to you today and to her, kind of in the spirit of her Savior. Because what I'm going to ask her to do is not going to be easy. I think instead of pointing out what he isn't, as far as challenging her faith, I want her to look inside. And I want her to call herself up and to be a woman of conviction, who I'm hearing she's starting to be. And I want her to make the decision to leave. I don't want her to blame it on him. I want her to say, you know what? We moved in together 4 years ago. We've bought a house. We're living together unmarried, and that does not match my faith. I love my Lord, and I am waking up to the fact that this has been really out of order in light of the kingdom of heaven. And so I'm going to go ahead and move out. And I need to move out, and I know we've got plans to be married. I can't follow through with that right now until we sort out what we're going to do with our faith. And so I need to move out. I'm going to be getting an apartment or sharing a roommate or whatever. And I need to not only move out, but I need to also begin to look at how we're going to move forward with this financial purchase that we have, which may mean that I need to also get off the loan. I need to get my life right. And so it's not staying under the same roof, right? It's like looking for a soft fall. If she really wants to do this, now let's just say she is a woman and she does that and she moves out, and he's like, hey, I don't want to lose you. And it moves him more into his conviction, and he just says, I haven't been walking with the Lord either. And then they both commit their lives to Jesus in a much richer way. Then fabulous. But I wouldn't have her stay there just for the soft fall.
No. And here's the other thing. To do what you're suggesting, it will require great courage and support. And so she needs to know that she's got that from you. But here's the other thing I would do. I would balance all of this with this. I would say to him, Bob, whatever his name is, Bob, we got together when I was in a different place spiritually. And all of our motivations were really when I had different priorities, different feelings about life. And with this experience that I've had with Jesus, things are different. So I'd like you and me to work with a Christian counselor, and let's see if we have what's needed to go forward, now that my motivations are different, now that my desires are different, because you are a wonderful person, and maybe there are some things that will help us be stronger together. Maybe we go and find out it just won't work under these circumstances. But whatever, let's go do that work. And see, maybe that would give him some kind of assurance that she's not just trying to break it off or walk away, but she's got good motive. And that's the main thing, is that she wants to communicate motives that are based, really strong motives based in pure, true, wonderful love of the Lord that is transferred over to him. He didn't do anything wrong here. He was just doing what he was doing. And he may be telling the truth and he just doesn't have the spiritual maturity. So, part of this thing after going to a Christian counselor is he needs to get in a men's group and start to grow spiritually and to maybe, kind of catch up. Alice, what are you thinking when you hear this? Anything real quick you've got?
Well, just that adding some empathy, that she's changing the rules as she's getting deeper into her faith from what she'd agreed to before with him. So acknowledging that this is turning his world upside down, and this is probably really tough for him to hear. I think that'll help the conversation move along too.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I so honor folks that are like her, willing to look at doing the tough thing. It's not easy, and you just think, oh, it'll be all right. We just stay around. But if she'll be willing to do the right thing, God will honor that, and she will be so proud of herself for the rest of her life. Anything else we want to add here?
Well, this is probably sharing a little bit more than I was planning on today, but I was engaged and bought a place with a man a while back, a long time ago, and we even had a dog. And I just felt like the Lord was really convicting me, and so I remember going on a missions trip where I had just some time in connection with the Lord, and I felt like I needed to make a bold move, and I did. I broke the engagement. We had to sort out what to do with this place and the dog. But I'll tell you something, I look back on that now, and I thank God that he was with me to walk that out. And maybe that's why I was more bold with her than you were, Steve. And I own that. Sometimes our own stories influence what we say. But it's hard. Good. It's hard to make those decisions.
Okay, so I'm going to send you Take Your Life Back for her. I'll send you a copy also. Joe, I'm really glad that you called. And what a great thing when we're moving forward and it's difficult, and then we respond and continue to do the right thing. It's the 26th of December, and maybe you haven't thought about year-end giving. Now's the time to do it. I think anybody that's ever been around New Life is astounded at the things that have come out of this little ministry and our ability to do great things with very little resources. Women of Faith, 5 million women went to Women of Faith, came out of New Life, and 500,000 accepted Christ. Life Recovery Bible, there's no, that is the most read Bible in prisons across America, and people that would never think about Jesus in their recovery have come to Christ because of the Life Recovery Bible. And Every Man's Battle started 20 years ago and really created a movement of men developing sexual integrity and purity. And those are just 3 of the big ones. And I just hope and pray that if you want to watch what we can do in the future, you'll help us to get there by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and saying, I want to be part of the future of New Life. And you give a gift of any amount. Help us, because we want to help people just like you. Thank you, Dr. Sheri Keffer. Thank you, Dr. Alice Benton. Thanks to all of you who listen, watch, and pray for us. God bless you. Merry day after Christmas to you. We love you. Hope it's going to be a great 2020. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Call us. Let us help.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.